Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We missed you all.
We missed you all a lot.
Yes, we had something very important happen last week. And so we had to miss the show. We'll talk a little bit about it with today's topic, which is a fantastic quote from a fantastic, iconic, classic movie trilogy.
I was going to say, don't say the trilogy. Let's see if anyone in the comments can figure it out.
They have to be able to figure it out. Should I? Let me say it. Let me say the line as it is in the film. Maybe that'll help. The line goes.
Well, wait. Before you do that, we can introduce ourselves and wait for a couple more people to join because I know there's some very specific people coming.
Okay, fine.
So I'm Michelle with Moksha Grace Coaching. What I do is help people face their emotions and take control of themselves so that they can respond accordingly to life and to situations and make their life, a smoother sail. So, emotional liberation coaching.
Beautiful. And my name is Krista Barone. I am a fractional COO and operations consultant. And I help business owners really focus on doing the parts of running their business that they enjoy. Usually that's actually doing whatever it is that they're in business to do, working with the clients, etc. And I take care of the rest, saving them time, money, energy, heartache, all of those things. And you can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com right up there. And you can find Michelle in the opposite corner, mokshagrades.com. There you go. Okay, so how does the line go? The line goes,
yes,
you never had control. That's the illusion.
Now, what movie is that from? But you'll have to guess in the comments. So, yeah, last week it felt like things were starting out really good week, and had some great coaching sessions Monday night. Everything was just smooth sailing. And Tuesday morning we got a call that I don't wish on anybody. And it was very shockingly delightful, but it wasn't delightful. But it was shocking. And my mom passed away, and it was very sudden and unexpected. And that is why we were not able to be here last week. And we were kind of going over the topics, and I saw this one, and I was just like, you know what, let's move this one up, because the illusion is that we all think we have control.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. Yeah. We don't control anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to be Debbie Downer or depression. I'm actually saying it, and I can't believe I'm going to quote this song. Thank you, Mom. You got to live like you're dying, and you got to live like it's your last day, because you literally don't know when it is your time. And you have to act accordingly, and you have to reach out to people, and you have to talk to people, and you have to think about your conversations with the ones you love. And if that's the last conversation you have with them, are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah.
And
there's two funny things with that song, and actually three funny things with that song in particular. One, that was one of the first songs that came on when we were at your mom's house starting to pack things up. And this song came on, and I was like, oh my God, of course this song comes on. Two, I actually, going through some of her stuff, found a printout of a gift that one of her old employees gave to her, which was, I guess, the CD of that song coming out. So that was hysterical, in that, like, of course the universe is giving me one of those divine messages, because that's the piece of paper I find. And three, your mom, if nothing else, like that, she lived up to that because she was only ever interested in the current day, the current moment. She really was not worried about the future at all. Definitely to a fault. But she
Yeah.
just every single day she did what she wanted. She, made the most of every
Yeah.
relationship and conversation and person she interacted with. Um, and that was a very beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually that I saw that gift card, and it was from Jennifer. And yes, that's somebody that was um she posted on Facebook, and it was very sweet, and she was like her second daughter. My mom had a lot of second daughters. Second, third, fourth, fifth. She had a lot
Same
of
with grandchildren.
adopted grandchildren. Just she, yeah, we had many conversations where I was like, but you have to think about the future. You have to, you have to plan. You have to, and it's true, you do, because we're having to go through so much stuff. And it's great that she had it. I don't know the last time she looked at any of it, but she had
What,
it.
you mean like the keepsakes?
Oh my goodness, cards
Oh
upon
yeah.
cards.
If anyone watching knows her and you ever gave her a card, we've seen it now. And unfortunately some of them we're going to have to get rid of because she kept every single card she's ever given. So just know that meant more to her probably than anything else you could have ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk about the cards that were ungiven, the ones that she prepared to give.
How about the text messages that she had written but she accidentally forgot to hit send?
Yeah, so if anybody gets a text message from my mom's phone, I'll try to warn you first, but if I find any others that she didn't finish and send, they seemed important, so I was sending them out to some of the key people. But I was talking about the cards that she planned to give out. Like, she has enough cards, those boxes of cards that are for every occasion.
Yeah.
And so I guess she did plan to a point.
Well, she'd buy new ones every time there was a new holiday, so that's why she had stacks upon stacks upon stacks of cards, and wrapping paper, and gift bags, and gift wrap, and bows, and ribbon.
And glasses. Oh my goodness.
What kind of glasses? What do you mean?
Drinking glasses. No, we have drinking glasses and wine glasses and just all kinds of amazing, so much stuff, and belts, and your earrings.
Oh yeah, if anyone's watching, I'm taking some of her belts and turning them into beautiful earrings. So that's been a fun little project, kind of putting a smile on my face. Is repurposing some of her old wardrobe into little keepsakes for myself. And so all of this, ties into the topic today. We wanted to talk about her anyway, and to talk about
and why we weren't here.
And but I mean, you mentioned it a little bit of we really don't have control of life. We can manifest and we can intend to do things, and we can, do and say the right things, but at any moment things could change. And that, with her in particular, that part of what was so shocking, and why today that's a perfect topic for today, because otherwise we would have never expected that to happen, and it did. And there's some people who, when we told them the news, they had some regrets because they were supposed to go to lunch with her, or they didn't text her back about something, or they maybe were in the middle of a fight with her or something like that. And it just is a really, really good reminder that you always want to be mindful of the people that you love. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
That's a really good point. And the reason why, Jenny, is because last week threw us off a little bit, getting our our notifications and stuff out earlier in the week, and for the month got a little thrown off since it was the first week of June. But you should know in the future coming up very quickly when all the different Shockingly Delightfuls are, because I'm going to get back into my schedule and get things
That's so
posted,
funny.
so you do know.
Yes, and we're gonna definitely put it out there more. Um, the whole control thing, and um, even those that you're in an argument with somebody and then something happens, or you have plans and you cancel them and then something happens. I mean, these are things that are not in our control.
Yeah.
The only thing that we can control is our responses to them and to the situation. And beating yourself up is not
Yeah.
something that you should do, because let's face it, taking this situation, that is not what she would want.
Mhm.
She
Right.
would not want that. And I was talking to somebody last night about that, and I was like, as much as, we had our ups and our downs in the last few years, but there is no way that she would ever want me to feel bad, like to live in a bad
Yeah.
emotional state.
Yeah.
And you just have to go, okay, this is where it is now. How do I take whatever happened or whatever is right now, and
Mhm.
how do I move forward?
Mhm.
What can I do?
Yeah.
And so, I made some promises to her. I can control my actions, what
Mhm.
I can do with those
Mhm.
promises. I
Mhm.
can make sure that her friends feel loved and
Mhm.
feel included. I can make
Yeah.
sure her family feels included.
Mhm.
But I can't control their response, anybody's response to
Right.
anything. And it's the same with anything.
Mhm.
You I don't know, you plan for a vacation, the vacation gets canceled, or you want to buy something and you can't right now. I
Mhm.
mean, anything that you can think about, even business, how business grows or how it doesn't grow.
Mhm.
Are you happy at your job, or are you not happy at your job? It's not about what's happening, it's about your response to what's
Mhm.
happening. That's
Yeah.
what life is truly about, is experiencing it and then responding
Mhm. Yeah.
and learning how to control that aspect, because
Yeah.
that's all we got. That is
Yeah.
all we got.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's another part of this that I want to talk about, because I think it's a really good conversation to have. And that's, I briefly mentioned, anyone could pass at any moment. You want to make sure that you're, telling the people that you love them, and not holding grudges and not holding on to things and all of that. With that said, you also don't have to, there's a lot of people who their relationships with others have dissolved and they can't spend a lot of time together and they don't have a great relationship.
Right.
And me and my grandmother love her to pieces, but we were not two people that could be besties once I grew up and I became an adult, because our personalities just clashed a lot. And I could look at the last, let's say, 5-10 years and go, oh my God, I feel so terrible, I feel so guilty, and I feel all these things. But we had the relationship that was best for both of us. And while we didn't go to lunch all the time and we didn't necessarily see each other all the time, I made it clear that if you need me for something, I'm here. I'm here whenever you need me. If something is wrong, I need you, reach out to me. Like, I set my boundaries with her, but I also let her know, if you need me, I'm here.
And
And that was really important, because that, now looking back, I can feel okay about the relationship that we had. And so there's something to be said about, if you're strong enough to set boundaries, hold people to them,
mhm.
you can still have a relationship with somebody and feel okay about it.
Yeah.
because that happens very often with people. Is you cut someone off and they pass away and you go, well, maybe I could have changed and I could have been different and I could have done all these things, and there's just immense guilt that you can feel. It doesn't have to be that way. There are some people absolutely cut their ass off. They, there's terrible people out there. But my point is that it doesn't have to be that way. And you can set healthy boundaries with somebody and let people know where you are and have a mutual respect while still being there for them when they need you.
And ultimately you were.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, she
Yeah.
called, Krista answered, and
Yeah.
so, and the other thing about that is, we can't control what people do with the information that is given. And I think it's very interesting that there's certain things that I had mentioned over the years to her,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd have conversations and debates. She loved to
Oh my God, she
be
loved debates.
She loved bringing up things that were going to create a
Tension and chaos.
shockingly
Yep.
conversation. And interestingly enough, kind of going through her phone, and I was just curious, like what was she? And so she's getting these like alerts and stuff on things that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. She was listening, or
Mhm.
she did research this. And, so it's these things that you sometimes people will put up this really strong facade,
Mhm.
and the thing that I'll go back to, I'm kind of all over the place, so I apologize, but
Yeah.
you can imagine. But going back to you and her, the one thing, many things that I know that she loved about you, and the fact that you were so independent and so strong, because that was how she raised me too,
Mhm.
was to be, and you were even stronger
Mhm.
than I ever could have been.
Yeah.
And I almost think that that was a healthier relationship, uh because
I'll just
you
go ahead and skip to the end and say yes, it was. But go on.
um and and I think that is a testament. That's her legacy.
Yeah.
She wanted me to be this strong
Mhm.
woman that was going to go out and conquer the world, and I was like, I just want to have kids and get married, and like,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong with that. But on the other hand, she could look at you and go, well, fuck, she's got her own business and she's doing this, and she did it way younger than my mom did. My mom's an entrepreneur too.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about that too. And I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
the whole family, we're all entrepreneurs. And it's not because we don't like working for other people. I mean, that can be
Yeah, it's a
challenging.
conversation for another day.
Yeah, that's a conversation I think that's coming up. But my mom kind of started that. She went down that road. Well, no, actually, my husband, your father, started it, and then she followed suit. She saw that there was a gap and she filled it, and she does medical billing, and that was what she did. And now my daughter-in-law, your sister, has taken it over, and so
Sister-in-law.
sister-in-law, yes. And it's just this, but again, you just cannot control
Mhm.
anything. Things
Yeah.
are going to fall into your lap, things are going to fall off your lap or off the world, and you can't control anything.
Yeah.
You can only manage your own self.
Yeah. And someone who is more of a type A personality, maybe who's been described as a control freak in their lifetime. Don't know who that would be. It's me. Control stems from anxiety. Control stems from because when you have anxiety, a way to relieve that anxiety is to be able to anticipate the outcome. And in order to anticipate the outcome, if you can control how things are going to play out, that can relieve your anxiety. Um, And so a lot of times the people who most want to have control of everything are those that tend to be very anxious because they want things to play out in a very specific, certain way. And what's ironic, cracks me up every time, and I'm hyper aware of it, is when I'm trying to control things is when I'm also the most anxious.
Mm-hmm.
It's when my anxiety flares up the most.
Yeah.
And so it actually is the antithesis of what you should be doing to relieve your anxiety, because all it does is make it worse. And you're no longer living in the present moment because you're focused on how can I control the outcome.
Yeah.
And usually, based on the laws of manifestation, when we're obsessing about how something's going to play out, it's pushing it farther away from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So irony all around.
And I've learned this thing, just surrender it. Like, this is the outcome that I'd like to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but like trying to plan a celebration of life when there hasn't been any plans, and just going, you know what? It's going to come to me. Everything's going to fall into place, and it's going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, things are just coming out of the woodwork, and just like, oh, well, what about this? Like, and it's just.
Well, and here's the key part of that. And we had this conversation because when you were really stressed about what we were going to do, I said to you, let's find out what the options are. Make a few phone calls. Right now, you're swirling in I don't knows. Let's get information and then go from there.
Yeah.
And so that's a key part of it too, is not just sitting in that overwhelm, but saying, okay, and I think we've talked about this on like every episode, but what's the very next step that I can do? Well, I need to get some more information. What are my options? Okay, let's make a few phone calls. Let's have a few meetings, whatever it is, to get more information to then be able to make the next best decision.
Right. And a lot of times the best decision just kind of landed in my lap. And and it's interesting because I remember talking to my mom about as you and your brother Michael Anthony got older, and she was like, oh, I don't feel like I have the same relationship with them, and they're just busy and doing this and doing that. And she would try so hard, and then there'd be that a little bit of guilt, the manipulation, and moms do that, whether you're Greek, whether you're Jewish. And listen, Greeks can do guilt trips really well.
I think it's just all grandmothers. I think it's a universal thing, but.
And I remember having this whole conversation with her after I had listened to an Abraham Hicks video, and it was just stop trying. Just stop trying. Don't not be there, but stop bringing it up so much. Stop trying to push it, and just surrender it, and just say, what I love them for who they are, and whatever happens is what happens. And then I remember her like going, it's working. Like, I remember her calling me or texting me, and she was like, it's working. I got a text message, and so it was so fun to watch her come along in her kind of a spiritual awakening a bit, in letting go on some of that, because there was this big push of, I want this. And I was like, just relax and just let things play out. And then they did. And then they did. And so there's just so many lessons and so many legacy moments that I think all of us can take from my mom's passing and her transition. One of which is the control of not knowing. And we may not ever have answers, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that. Because there's nothing more you can do. Yeah, guilt trips of grandmothers. That's so true, Raymond. And there's nothing I can do about it. And so what am I going to do? Freak out every day over it? Contemplate? Think? No.
I would create your own closure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bottom line is, and the only reason that I can be seeming so, talk to me at nighttime and I'm not as put together, because nighttime seems to be the worst for me. Um,
It's actually a really funny, remind me. There's something really funny
um,
with that.
yeah, I can tell you a couple things. But my mom was in so much chronic pain that knowing that she's free of that chronic pain and
Yeah.
she's got this like newfound uh movement and ability. I mean, she couldn't even look up at the sky, like,
Yeah.
you know, and to
I mean,
watch.
and that was since teenage, like her teenage years. It's not like later
Yeah,
in life, getting
no,
older.
no, no, no,
Like
no.
this is literally was from the moment she was 15, 14, 15,
Younger, because she
even
was
younger.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, she had polio, she had braces on her legs and 18 back surgeries, and um you know, I'm a miracle to be here. I have no idea
Hmm.
how her body carried me. Like, I really don't know how that happened, and that had to have been just a miracle in itself, and it was just it was meant to
She
be.
never had control. That's the illusion.
That is the illusion. Absolutely. Yeah. So, what were you going to say about nighttime?
Oh, there's a really funny kind of like joke where it's actually not a joke. It's more of like a mindfulness tip, which is
Mhm.
do not listen to anything your brain says after about 5:30 p.m. 6:30
Really?
p.m. because that's when you're now tired,
Mhm.
your inner strength isn't as high, your mind starts to, go off, and that's where negative thinking can come in. That's where you can start, dread comes in, hopelessness comes in, all of those things come in. So it's kind of like a running joke online now of like anything that your brain starts telling you after what, and it might be a different time for each, for each person. Whatever your brain starts telling you after that time,
Hmm.
completely disregard it. Yeah.
Interesting.
There's
Like,
also,
like
but
Jenny said, interesting.
yeah, it totally is, Jenny. And I'll tell you, like all of my, as someone who's had anxiety and issues with depression and all sorts of things over the years, it is always at night that my mental health will take a little bit of a dip.
Hmm.
And because I mean, you've heard me say this a million times. I just need to go to bed and I will wake up fine.
Yeah.
I will wake up perfectly fine. I just need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Because I know once I wake up, I'm going to feel chipper and happy and excited for the day. But after a certain time, no. There's also,
Yeah.
relating to this, a very interesting thing that I saw in a comment section on a post. And we all here live in the present moment. You got to bring yourself to the present. That's how you bring in the things that you want and your manifestations and all these things. And we all are like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure, yeah, present moment.
Hmm.
And someone phrased it in a comment once that really resonated with me, which is the reason that you need to bring yourself to the present moment is because your manifestations live in the present moment.
Right.
The present moment is where you receive your manifestations. You're not receiving your manifestations in the future. You're not receiving them in the past. It's in the present moment. And so that is that's why it's so important for you to constantly be bringing yourself to the present moment, because otherwise you can't accept the things that you're asking for.
Makes a lot of sense.
Totally makes sense. And I mean, it of course, that's what it means. But to just hear it put that way,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Well, and I was finishing reading a book yesterday, and one of the mantras, but not mantra, but they were saying is, I receive life in, and Raymond and Jenny will like this one. I receive life in love, joy, and glory. I like faith, love,
Hmm.
hope, love. I mean, you can make the three that are the most important for you. And so you're not saying whether it's good, bad, who knows. You're just saying, I'm receiving life in
Hmm.
love, in hope, and in joy, or in glory. Like, whatever's coming my way, I'm receiving it in love. And that's the other thing about, you know, wanting to control everything and wanting to have everything perfect. And, control and anxiety and all of that is fear-based. It just is. It's fear-based. But
100%.
if you're living in just love, whether it's love of nature, and a tree is not crying because a limb fell off, or a leaf fell off of a tree. It just doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is what it is. It's not good, it's not bad, it just, that's the way it is. And so if we can live and be more like nature, then we're going to live a better life and just be in that love and be connected.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're connected, you're tapped in, and then you can receive,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's receiving messages from those that have passed, whether it's receiving everything that you've wanted,
Mm-hmm.
it's in your vortex, or that you want to manifest. But you've got to be in that receiving mode, and that also means that you've got to be willing to give and receive, because it's the law of reciprocity. You got to give to receive, you got to receive to give.
Right. And isn't it interesting that we're being pushed to not be in nature, to not connect, to not tap into the things that inherently make us human? That we're being pushed away from that. And what are we seeing? Absolute chaos in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And hopelessness and sorrow at levels we've probably have never seen before, even though we have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Consumerism through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not really one to talk because I have a coffee cup and like Tervis collection. I mean, but there's people who, when the whole Stanley Cup craze came around, they got one in every single color and literally have walls of Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
That's a little extreme. That's a little bit far from being outside in nature and connecting and
Mm-hmm.
tapping into our intuition and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would much rather have a new orchid. And thank you for, if anyone's watching that have sent an orchid. I've gotten a couple orchids. I got a wind chime. And that those kind of things just make the wind blows, and so you can hear the wind chime, and the dragonflies. I actually saw last night, I forgot to tell you, a damselfly.
Oh, did you? Oh, I sent you a video of a damselfly earlier. They are so cute.
So there's a difference, and never knew that there are dragonflies and there's damselflies. And hint, hint, start thinking about the word Odonata, because there's something special that Moksha Grace is coming up with and cooking up. But they're just the littlest little things.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, and at first I thought it was like one of those giant mosquito things, but it's not. And then I was like, is it a baby dragonfly? But they're different because their wings are different.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right outside your door this morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
That's
little
awesome.
damselfly. So yeah.
And I also want to touch on what you just said. Is you've gotten a couple orchids, you got a wind chime. Someone came over for dinner the day that it happened, and we had dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
Someone gave you like a little sweet treat package. And I think that it's so important in a situation where somebody passes. And this has actually come up a lot too. Let me do a quick tangent. Is a lot that's come up is, socially the right way socially to do it is this way, or I mean, typically this is what people do, or this is the way that people typically phrase it. And that's such a wild concept to me.
Yeah.
And I think it's really beautiful that people have the couple of people who have sent things, which everyone who has even sent beautiful messages, thank you. But I think it's really telling that the people who have sent things that were important to you. Yeah. They didn't just send, a bunch of food or like gift baskets with food. Like it was tailored to what would make you smile and would bring you comfort, not just what is socially conventional. Right. And I think that's so important, especially in the death and grieving process, is that we move away from the socially conventional and move into what does this person need?
Right.
In our case, I take care of dinners, I cook, we eat very specifically. people probably know, like, they really probably don't need food. They're good.
Right.
But maybe somebody else does. And they, maybe somebody else absolutely needs the meals and would kill the first plant they were ever given. Maybe somebody needs, someone to come to the house and stay with the kids. Like, just if you're in a situation where you know someone that has someone pass, consider not what is socially conventional, but what would be helpful for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And sharing memories that's been my favorite part, is all of the different people that my mom knew. So many people, like she like collected people everywhere she went.
She really did.
And and all of them were close friends. Like she knows the ins and outs. Thank God she didn't write down everything, people, because I would have so much stuff on you. Because my mom would, and I put it in the obituary, she was like a human truth serum.
Yeah. I described it as a gravitational pull.
Yeah, I mean, you would be absolutely, I am not going to be talking about something, and she would get you within like 10 minutes, and you would be telling her the whole story.
Yeah.
And she is such a great listener. And so hearing those stories has been so comforting for me. And even those that have been able to tap in to her energy now, and giving me those little messages, that has brought me so much comfort and joy. And then that's trickled down to the other people that I know that she cared about, that needed to hear the same message. And so you don't have to buy something for anybody.
Absolutely.
Trust me. You can just be there and just listen. Just say something supportive. And And
I gotta tell you, some of my favorite things that people are saying are the people who knew her really well, like we did, where they're like, she was an absolute pain in the ass, but I love the hell out of her. Because it's real. And that's another thing that happens so often when someone passes, is this fake facade goes up of, like, the person was a saint. And I'm not saying not to say beautiful things about them, because everyone has beautiful features, but to bring in some of that humanity of, like, of this wonderful thing happened, but also this thing happened, and it cracked me up because it was so, out of place and out of whack and whatever it is. Like, those are also so helpful in the grieving and healing process, is to be able to hear not just the good, but the quirky and the weird and the goofy and the, pain in the butt, ball and chain, whatever all those little phrases are.
I've heard a lot of, she was fierce.
Yeah.
She knew what she wanted.
Yep.
And yep.
Like, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when we talked to some people from the restaurant that she frequented all the time, and it was the thing that I got the most out of that conversation was they were telling stories about how she was in the restaurant. I mean, she would go there every single day for literally like 20 years, like every single day. And the way that they were describing her as a patron of the restaurant, anyone else, like someone who didn't know her, would be like, oh, this pain in the butt, she was so difficult to wait on. And this woman and this guy were describing it with such love. Like, they're describing her sending food back, and, there's not enough ice in her drink, or the dressing is wrong. And it's like they were talking about it with such love that, like, it took a second in my mind to be like, they loved that about her. Well, like, she was such a pain in the butt that you loved it. And it was helpful.
But here's the other part of that. It would, like we said, like we said when we were meeting with them, she was like quality assurance.
Yeah.
Without being paid. Like, she told them, your dressing is wrong. Yeah. And then when they went and they checked the recipe, the new chef had been messing it up.
Right.
Or the floor is slippery. Don't get me started. The floor is more slippery than it had been. And sure enough, it was because, so she was.
We didn't finish that story. And sure enough, it was because they were using the wrong cleaner.
Yes. And it was her home away from home. So yeah, so guess what, people? We're not having a funeral at a fucking funeral parlor. We're having a celebration of life at her favorite restaurant because that was her home away from home, and that's where she spent almost 2 hours every single day.
And you know what the other thing we can take from this? If nothing else, she was always exactly herself.
Yeah.
And people loved her for it.
Oh my
There
God.
are people who didn't. There are people who I'm sure did not like her, that, you know, whatever.
Right.
But the amount of people that she had around her, even though she was never stopped talking and could be invasive in her questioning and, you know, probably could have been nicer to wait staff and, you know, but she did it from a place of such just pureness. Like it was just who she was.
Right.
People couldn't help but love her for it.
Yeah.
And that is such a
Hello,
testament.
excuse me. Can you get me tea?
Right. And that is such a testament of be who you are truly.
Yes.
And people are going to love you for it. Not everybody, but the
Right.
people who are meant to love you for it are going to.
Yeah.
So to be anything else than what you are, you're cutting yourself off from so many people that could love you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't control who you are. Be authentic. You can control your responses. You can control things like that, but you are who you are and you have to accept that. And she did.
Yeah.
She absolutely accepted herself. And when I finally, and I was talking about this with Jenny and Renee, and hi, Renee, thank you for sharing us out. And Raymond, I was talking to the group last night, and I was saying, you know, I had gotten to a point where I just accepted all of who she was. Hi, Annie. And that was just her.
Yeah.
And when I stopped trying to say, you need to change, or you should be more this way, did I give her some tips about, you know, ways to think about spirituality or her pain? I told her a couple weeks ago, have you ever thanked your body for sticking together like glue for so long? And she was like, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that, but once I accepted who she was and didn't push against it, was when our relationship changed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same for her and I, and going back to that a little bit is, like I said, we clashed a lot. Our personalities were not a total match that made us able to be besties. But when I would get very upset with, like, because she was very much an instigator and loved to, you know, start drama and conversations and all of that. And it used to really bother me. And when I took a step back and took a little bit of a break of being around her, it allowed me to take the pressure off of wanting her to be somebody else. And allowed me to appreciate her for who she was in the doses that were best for her and I.
Yeah. And I think
that was more productive.
Super, right. That's super important for people to understand.
Yeah.
Because when you're not getting along with somebody in your family or a friend or whoever, you don't have to completely cut them off, but sometimes you do need a break. We need breaks from social media, and sometimes we need breaks from people. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. You love them from afar. You wish them well and all of that good stuff, and you're still in support of them. But maybe you can't be in their face all the time.
Yeah.
And it makes the heart grow fonder too. You know?
Because here's the alternative. If I hadn't set the boundaries that I needed to, and I didn't create a little bit of space for us, the alternative of what could have happened is our relationship could have gotten to a point where I literally could not have been able to be around her. It could have been a very bad relationship, and her passing could have been at a point where, like, we didn't talk at all anymore.
Right.
Or it was like this horrible thing and she had nobody in her last moments. But instead, by taking the harder road and the longer road of taking breaks when needed, setting boundaries, and communicating, I am here for you if you need me, allowed us to have a relationship that I can look back on and go, I feel great about the relationship that we had because it was what the two of us needed.
Yeah.
And it was what was healthy.
Yeah.
Versus me looking back and being like, well, I could have done this differently, or maybe this would have been different, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a much better place to be.
Yeah. So anybody in the want to make a comment on any control illusions? What's your biggest illusion? Because control is a big one, but there's lots of different illusions out there.
I'm trying to think, what is, because control isn't an illusion for me anymore, because I know it doesn't work. It's just my anxiety makes me try to control. What's your biggest illusion?
That life has to be hard.
Yeah.
Dang, I think that's another really big illusion, that life is supposed to be hard, and it's supposed to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Like, you have to work hard, or you have to struggle, or you have to suffer. Like, that's part of the suffering. Well, what if it's not? What if it's just what we're here to learn?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think that was the other part of what really gave, you know, my mom and I would talk on the way to her doctor's appointments, and she was like, you know, I've noticed a difference in you. And it'd been in the last year and a half, working with my coach. And it was that I stopped trying to change situations that I had no control over, or change people's journeys.
Yeah.
Because I felt they should be on a different journey. How many times do we judge somebody? We don't mean to, but we're like, oh, look, they're spending money and they shouldn't be. None of your freaking business. That's their business. And if they have to if they have to struggle with no money because they spent it on something frivolous, then that's their journey and those are their lessons. Stop freaking judging them. It's not your place.
Yeah.
It's just not your place. And when I finally gave up that judgment and the expectation, I gave up the expectation that my mom was going to be different. I gave up the expectation that, you know, whatever. That's when things just got easier.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to be responsible for all of that.
Yeah. I think my biggest illusion is I still expect other people to be as straightforward and honest as I am. And even though I know that they're probably not, it still annoys me when that happens. But that's still an illusion that I have for sure.
Yeah. Because their journey on this life, in this lifetime, is to go down that path and to learn those lessons. And we can't force it on anybody.
No. Can't force anything on anybody because you never have control. That's the illusion. And if you've hung in this long, I haven't seen any movie guesses in the comments, but for those of you, I'll say it again real quick. If anyone wants to guess the movie,
exactly how it is in the movie.
I'll say it exactly the same as much as I can. You never had control. That's the illusion. I'll give everyone about 10 seconds to put their guesses in the chat.
Should I be pretending to eat ice cream? Hint, hint, hint.
Anybody? Hint. It's Jurassic Park, people.
God bless, man.
Come on.
No Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Ellie's sitting with Dr. Hammond. They're at the table eating ice cream. He's talking about the flea circus. And he said, but when we have control, you never had control. That's the illusion. I'll be here all day, folks.
Yes, you will be.
And on that note, thank you all so much for tuning in with us and
for listening
to our stories. Yeah, listening to our stories and just being in this moment with us. If anyone has any other thoughts, put them in the comments and we'll respond. And there will absolutely be better notice in the coming weeks for the show. Last week obviously was a little all over the place, so our schedule got thrown off and our posting got thrown off. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow to Moment of Presence on the Moksha Grace coaching channel with Michelle and her special guest. I'll be posting about that today. There you go, Renee. That's what I'm talking about.
Whoop, whoop.
So yeah, if you're just tuning in and catching us, comment, let us know that you were here and you were watching. And you want to do a quick outro? Where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me at Moksha Grace Coaching, mokshagrace.com, and all over social media at Moksha Grace. And I would love to just, hear, we both would just love to hear from you. If you have topics you want us to talk about, we're all about this. This show is more about kind of having fun and just talking things out. And we never know really what is going to come out of our mouths. But we
don't plan this at all.
All we do is kind of plan the movie quote, and if you haven't figured that out yet, we are kind of doing movie quotes and then making a talk around it. So, we like movies.
Yeah.
So if you have any
ideas, you can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you or someone you know needs operational help, needs help running their business, reach out. Let's have a chit chat on the free consult. We usually talk about, what's going on in your business. And if I can help you, without us even working together, I can point you in some direction. I definitely do that because small businesses are important to me. As you've heard us mention briefly on today's call or today's show, small business is rampant through our family. So it's near and dear to my heart. So if you're a small business and you need help in particular, wickedwisdomconsulting.com, and we'll chat about what is going on.
And just, special hint, just keep looking, because
I was just about to say we did tease something 2 weeks ago that obviously got pushed back because of everything that happened. So yeah, look for some stuff coming out in June on the Moksha Grace coaching side. And if you're not following, hey Ed, how you doing?
Hi Ed.
If you're not already following Moksha Grace on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, go over there and follow. And that way you stay up to date.
Yes. And just remember, look for those words. Odonata.
All right. Sweet.
All right.
Love it.
Thank you all for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. Special guest. And it's going to be an amazing show. And look forward to seeing you there.